call this work session to order, and we'll begin with our quarter three goal setting.
Yes, sir. Mayor and council members, if you'll turn to your work session agenda, we have the Q3 goals. These are kind of a accumulation of the goals that didn't get accomplished in Q2, so we rolled those over, and most of those are at the front. The first, I would say, 5 bullet points or so have been rolled over from Q2. The other ones, when we prioritized at our strategic planning meeting in January, we kind of assigned, and you can look back or at the next page, you'll see Q4s are already there. So just a reminder of kind of how we went about this. We said, where can we accomplish that in the year? And we kind of put those priorities in there. And then any other issues that come up, we have a space there at the end on the second page, issues from Q1, Q2, Q3. So when the issues come up that aren't on the goal list, you guys have typically, said, hey, it's not time to talk about that right now, but we'll pencil this in that if everybody agrees it's worth talking about. And I don't have any issues right now in that column. But there may be some that you guys have talked about. Doesn't necessarily mean it gets added to a quarterly goal, but it keeps it there. And at the end of the year, if we haven't added it to a quarterly goal, if it's not ripe or you haven't thought about that, it's there for when we talk about strategic planning in January of next year, that it's front and center and a topic of conversation to talk about how we do that. So I'll go through the Q3 goals and where we're at on those, and then open it up back to you, Councilman Pageant, to see if you have any issues or your colleagues have any issues that have come up over the last quarter. So some of these budget FY27 funds for communications, if I recall when we did this, we talked about newspapers in particular, but media in general has become more and more complicated, fragmented even. And so we did, a couple years ago, hired a public information manager, and I think we've done a pretty good job internally getting press releases out and doing what we can on social media. I can demonstrate that at a future date if you want some stats, but how much viewership are our social media accounts getting? How many followers do we have, post creation of that position versus pre? And so the numbers look really good, but that's not the only place people are getting content and media. And so, I don't know what that looks like if we need more people, and it's really a team of one. And we've incorporated some additional duties and responsibilities for a public information manager within the mayor's office. But, if Emily is not able to be out at an event, there's not necessarily coverage on it unless it's by one of the other departments. We do have some media coverage from similarly situated positions within Parks and Rec and the police department. So they have their own kind of public information reps, but they're not tied in, if you will, as much as, in other words, they don't have a single point of coordination. A lot of those bigger press releases that involve the city do go through public information at the mayor's office, but on a day-to-day basis, they don't report to the public information manager. So I think that's what that bullet point was, unless you recall anything different. And that was how do we, what do we need to budget? How do we do a better job of getting the city's message out? I think you all have been in a situation where you've heard from people that said, well, I didn't know this was going on, or you need to be more transparent. And it's like, how can we do that? We stream our meetings. They're open to the public. We publish the agendas. You get them at the same time the general public gets them. We promote events through social media. through the newspaper when they decide to run it, TV stations, whatever else is out there. But so I don't know if you have any thoughts or comments on that, but that's what that bullet was, to my recollection.
Yeah, I think that for the most part is, and we were going to try to explore what other options that maybe are being used to get news out. I know we had talked about, I know there's some issues with TikTok, but that's where a lot of people get their information, sadly. But we had talked about there were some restrictions and things and reasons why that wasn't being used. So we're looking at alternative ways to try to get information, potentially even on TikTok some way, even if we had a third party doing that for us. We had talked about various things like streaming media, possibly certain things that we really wanted to get the word out, maybe even running ads on some of the different media to. So I think it was, I think you had a pretty much nutshell of it there, but we had looked at additional concepts of how could we work on that. So that's really funds. We had talked about potentially even adding people, and we had talked about adding paid content.
Did this include like a I don't know if it's 411, but a system where we can do push notifications as well, like if there's a road closure or some other?
I know some of that was discussed. Everything from text messaging to push notifications on an app.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't remember if it was under this bucket or not, but.
So I think what the staff can do, obviously, why it says budget FY27 funds, is to figure out sort of what options we might have, account for them in the budget, and present that to you here next month.
Our goal was, if it took a little bit of money to get aggressive with getting our word out, then maybe that's what we need to do.
Okay. Any other suggestions on things you'd like to see included in that budget?
I was just going to recommend potentially exploring partnering with like Troy University with their broadcast communications school and journalism. If they have students that are seeking internships, work study opportunities, maybe that's a cost-effective way to get more boots on the ground. I know it would be cyclic and you're not necessarily going to have those people long-term, but it might be something to look into.
Sure.
Yeah, I think I'll echo Councilman Paget. On the social media, I think a lot of people, that's where they get their news. If it's events or something that we really need to get out there to, budget in, and we may already be doing this, but sponsoring ads, budgeting in, targeting ads to our community and making sure that they get seen.
Although we knew about the Spring Festival downtown, I cannot tell you how many people that I ran into that had no clue it was happening, even though it was all over social media on my feeds. What I was seeing, people said they never saw anything to do with it at all, had no clue it was happening.
Okay.
So I think things that we really want to promote, doesn't even have to be an event, could be a certain, news release that we need everybody in the city to know about that the city is working on. That might be some justification for sponsoring some things on multiple social media sites, because that's really, unfortunately, where it seems like everybody's getting most of their news today.
See, and what gets me is people just don't research. It's out there. I see it all the time on the City of Enterprise site, and I tell folks, go up our site, there's stuff on there. Go to the chamber site, there's stuff there. And people want to be spoon-fed, so how do we spoon-feed them when,
That's
hey,
it.
do your own research, short of me handing you a flyer saying, okay, hey, here's these events for the next month. In fact, my wife, Ms. Dawn, put out a thing on Facebook of all of the Christmas package thing that you just put up, Emily, and sent it out to everybody saying, okay, be warned, here it is. Don't say you didn't see it. So
Yeah.
that's just going to reach so many, but if we keep sharing it with the information, but people got to research it,
Yeah.
It just gets me when they say,
Well, I really
didn't
think
see
that's what we're talking about, putting some
Yeah.
money to spoon feed people this
yeah,
information.
well,
That's right. Yeah, whatever Emily and her team needs, just as they start doing the research and looking in, they see the goals. So whatever your team and Emily feel like that they need to be able to accomplish that, that's what
Right.
we're looking to see.
Yeah, and one thing on that, an example that I saw recently dealt with the 300 acres or so for the industrial park. I think Councilman Pageant, you commented on some of that as Wiregrass EDC went to market that site. I think there's been some misinformation
Quite a
about the process. We could not have been more transparent, and I remember going out to the site to a lot of the neighbors who were complaining about the potential for that project to happen. And I told them, I think we told them at many meetings here, that was not a guaranteed project. The property was acquired to continue to have opportunity for the city to attract, any industry. This happened to be one of them that we were vetting. We took a trip out to an OSB facility. That project didn't work out, but nothing was done for that one singular project or to try to get that particular project. It was to build a rail-served industrial park that would allow us additional opportunities to recruit industry. And I always compare it to real estate. If you're in the market for a 4-bedroom house and all they've got is studio apartments, you never even looked at the site. So a rail-served site gives us additional looks and opportunities that we weren't even in the ballpark for by acquiring that property.
Hey, Jonathan, I just got something from Warren. How about a city podcast?
Okay.
Something to add on there. I know ESCC has a multimedia and digital group out there that does some of that stuff, video,
Sure.
audio.
Okay. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Warren.
So the Parks and Rec maintenance facility, again, we're in the final stages of having that complete. I don't think that's going to drag into the fourth quarter at this point. Bellwood Tap project, I did see a note, that project has been awarded. Any day now, it will start. Divest City of surplus properties. So we have been investigating, just had a land bank meeting. I think Councilman Pageant, you were at that meeting. There are, I would say, somewhere between 10 and 15 properties that we're running to ground right now. Some of those, they're all in residential areas. I don't know what the zoning is on all of them. But there's probably about 10 to 15 properties that ultimately that I would recommend as potential targets for the city to divest interest in, and perhaps give those to the land bank so that they could be, and for those of you that don't know the why behind that, the land bank has the ability to accomplish what the city would like, which is those properties to be developed in some way that's good for the city. And they can offer them to the developers with a couple of caveats that maybe the council would be a little cumbersome or not the right place to do. So one is the developer, whoever the land bank wanted to partner with to develop one or more of those sites, would have to show the financial ability to accomplish it within a certain time frame. And there would be a deed restriction on that. So as an example, they had the money or financial ability to borrow the money to accomplish the project in, say, 24 months. If the project was not completed or started in that 24-month time period, the deed restriction would have it go back to the land bank authority, which is not necessarily something that the city could do on its own, but it serves the interest of the public. And because the mayor and Councilman Pageant have representation on the board as 40% of it, I think the land bank understands that their interest in what they're trying to do is based on what this council sets as their agenda. So whether that's, affordable housing or whatever. But do you have any comments on that, Councilman Pageant?
Just, I guess I got a lot of thoughts and they all hit at the same time. So we talked about in the land bank about a number of things, and I think some of these properties here could probably work on that. looking at ways to take properties that the city would either currently have or acquire at some later time, and working with developers to, my opinion would be to have affordable housing put on those, as opposed to, neighborhoods that they're just making boatloads of money off of. I don't mind them making money, but I think if we're going to donate land, it needs to create something in our city that we have a need for right now, and that's, when I say affordable housing, I'm not necessarily talking about a little one-bedroom apartment, because even I'll say lower middle class at this point, lower middle class are having a hard time finding affordable housing.
Yeah.
Just price of housing has gone through the roof.
Yeah.
So I would like to see those residential lots that we can come across somehow utilized. If we can donate the land to a developer where they can guarantee a cheaper house, I'm fine with that too, from my opinion. But we'd have to get something back for the donation.
Yeah. And I think that's typical of what some of really a good thing is that there's only a handful of land bank authorities that have been created thus far in the state of Alabama. Enterprise happens to have one. Typically, there's a 3-year time period before a property that may be tax delinquent can fully be owned by the land bank. So in other words, in our nuisance property, if we put a lien on a property because we mitigated it, there's a redemption period. And once that redemption period is satisfied of 3 years, the property could end up in the land bank's hands. So the land bank's been operational about a year. So we don't have any properties, nor could we, if you follow that time frame. So some of these things, will take several years to develop, which I think it would be wise to look at the properties that we do find ourselves holding and say, hey, we don't have a need for those, to go ahead and put them in the land bank authority's hands so that they can do something with them, while other properties may still be kind of maturing or headed that way.
Now, that 3-year period, is that once the purchase has been made, or is that once the lien has been put on?
So the 3-year period is from the time it becomes tax delinquent.
Okay.
So it really doesn't really matter about the lien. It's about the taxes. So our lien, city's lien, would be paramount to any other liens that would be out there. So not only would the person have to pay off the delinquent taxes, whoever that is, they would also have to satisfy the lien holders, whether that's one being the city for cutting the grass or demolishing a building that was unsafe. And a lot of times that lien or subsequent liens, whether it's a mechanics lien or some other entity put it on there, it becomes more than the property might be worth to someone, which is why they typically end up, whether it's the state or not being satisfied. So this allows an entity like the land bank to quiet the title for properties that find themselves in that situation, and then subsequently put them back into some good use for the city, rather than just be a vacant property and otherwise, nobody have any interest in.
I know that it was brought up in the land bank that there is a bill before the State House for land banks to be able to pull that down to a 1-year period, but we don't know if that's going to pass or not.
Yes, sir. That would certainly speed things up in that process. So the old Coppinville agreement, I know that's still, it's probably getting old at this point to say, but still with Enterprise City Schools. The last I heard, unless Ashley has an update on that, they were waiting on an appraisal. I've heard no different. Okay. We have 2 on here for Chief Moore to present technology solutions to the council. That would be a force multiplier to the budget, as well as mitigate speed in residential neighborhoods. Both of those were carried over from the last quarter, and I would, Chief's here, but no issue this quarter, being able to address those with the council. So a couple of good wins, early wins in Q3. We did budget an HR system. We're in the process right now, conversion on Paycom. And then library study has been completed. I think you all got a copy of that at one of the last council meetings. And then A-Trip 2 funding for downtown walkability and pedestrian improvements. That was a great win. We received a $2 million grant as part of that A-Trip process. That work's currently being done right now. So they're looking at multiple signals basically in the corridor from City Hall to the high school along Main Street there. Some of those signals that they're looking at are going to be adding pedestrian crosswalks, updating the signals, maybe to have better timing, more modern functionality, and then also they're looking at, are there any that they can remove safely? So one of those might be, as an example, the intersection there. I think it's Grub Street by the library. It's kind of a three-way intersection. And so if that was to be removed, they would look at making Grub Street one way off of Main Street and then remove that signal, which would also improve flow because you'd have one less light in that corridor. So,
Do you know if in that they're looking at the farmers market crosswalk that has been brought up a few times? Is that part of that plan?
they're not. They're looking at existing
Just existing, okay,
access only.
okay.
I'll make a note, though, to see if they can do that while they're, rather than tell us no. So there's another one here, an agreement with First Baptist Church for downtown parking. I know we've briefly talked about this, but it would be the area basically from Main Street adjacent to Annie's all the way back to Edward Street. And I think the First Baptist Church has already demoed some homes in that area. And their proposal was similar to what we had done with First Baptist Church on other areas, as well as First Methodist or the parking lot downtown by Easy Street, where we work out a public use of that. It would create, I believe, about 160 parking spots in that area, and they would be used for public, except for church functions, predominantly Wednesday nights and Sundays. Where the First Baptist Church would have priority there. The other request that we would be bringing to you as part of that agreement would be to close, and I don't know if Jonathan Lucas is back there. I'm going to throw a Hail Mary. I don't remember the name of the street there between First Baptist and that, but it would be to vacate that road and include it. It wouldn't be to make it one way. It would be to vacate the road and encumber it as part of the parking project. We would also fix up some of the alleyway there. We were able to acquire 10 feet extra right away from the property owner behind those buildings where Annie's and Sixtel are. And so we would widen the alleyway and potentially bury the power lines underground. As part of that, but that would be part of the entrance. That would be a one-way ingress into the parking lot because the alleyway would then be big enough to do that. And then we would also be able to clean up some area as part of this project to put in a pad for dumpsters for people that, particularly in the food service business, Butcher's Daughter, Annie's, those that currently don't have a good spot to do that. So there's a lot of wins that would be involved in that. Good for the community, good for downtown. So we've got, I would say, a 75% agreement that we've been drafting with the church. And when we get that, we'll bring it to you hopefully this quarter to look at. additional police and fire person. Yes, sir.
Speaking of those agreements, the way it was worded here made me think of it two different ways. Sign agreement. What about getting some signage with these agreements that allow people to know that we have this parking available? Because I find people that think that that's the church parking, that it's not public parking.
Yeah.
I think that's Q4, isn't that the complete phase 1 of city wayfinding plan?
I don't
no?
think that wayfinding plan actually had the
Parking.
those parking
Okay.
included in there. It may, but I don't recall it
Yeah,
having that in there.
The wayfinding plan's more about putting how to get from like point A to point B. So you would think like Civic Center this way. But I think to Councilman Pageant's point, we can probably do that in-house, but maybe incorporate that in the agreements as well. And our city shop can certainly handle making some of those signs. And I think Barry is actually looking at that. He's not here tonight. But we are looking at how to get those signs made. And really, right now, when I say looking at it, it's more about what do we want on the signs? What do we want them to say? And what do we want them to look like? And once we settle on that, I think.
Preferably not green with white letters.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we want to keep with the same kind of color pattern that the Main Street program issued out for us.
Yep.
And so once we get kind of a version or two of that, we'll bring it back to you to see if you're okay with it. And then it will take us literally no time to print them and install them.
Yeah, something, I mean, for me, just looking at what we're trying to do with our downtown, anything that's like, my advice or my input would be just something that's very aesthetically pleasing, something
Yeah.
that looks, attractive for what
Yes,
we're
sir.
trying to make our downtown look like.
Okay. We will not do it until you have a chance to see it.
Thank you.
Hopefully, we can produce a few of them and let you look at
Yeah,
them and touch
thank
them before. There's one on here, fund additional police and fire personnel. So we'll talk about this more in the budget. Based on what we're looking at right now, my intent, Chief, I don't know if you want to come talk about this, the grant, but there's a grant that has a 70-30 match for personnel. Chief Davis is still trying to add one person per shift right now. We have the fire study out, which may say, hey, build a new station, relocate a station. We don't know, which require even additional staffing. I think to get us to that, fourth person, I think that's an admirable goal. I'd like to look at staggering that over maybe a period of 2 budget cycles to get 6 personnel at each one, if we're able to get this grant. The grant will run out in 3 years, and it diminishes the amount of federal dollars that get put into the program. So the first year, we'd only be responsible for 30% of the payroll, but it staggers downward from there, and then after 3 years, we're on the hook for the full amount. So it is a little bit of a stressor, but assuming that we want to try to do that, which it's a stated goal right now, that would be my recommendation. But Chief, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
The SAFER grant, I'm sure you've all heard of the AFG grants. SAFER grant is one of those. Its entire purpose is to get professional, and there's a side of that that's volunteer, fire departments to that 4 per unit staffing that we talked about earlier this year. A lot of places have benefited from this, and I think it's a good idea. I think the more we can put into it, if we can get our hands on that, it reduces the burden, financial burden of the city. And then as soon as it's received or it's completed over the 3 years, we can put right back in again. In fact, I think we can put in before that 4th year, if I'm not mistaken, but I'll have to check on that.
When will we hear back about the grant, whether we've been awarded that or not?
We haven't applied for it.
Oh, we haven't even applied? Oh,
That'll
okay.
be
Oh, okay.
mid-year 27, and we'll get something typically, this is an assumption, please, just before the fiscal year. We'll get some kind of announcement likely just before the fiscal year. So, if we're going into it, like talking about it now, we know we're going for it, we can go ahead and kind of put a spot in there for the 28 budget, as opposed to, hey, surprise, I got you a budget, but it's going to change drastically.
Sounds good. Thank you.
So, to be clear, I guess this would mean that next fiscal year that we're planning for right now, the funding mechanism would be to seek the grant. And if we get the grant, then the personnel budget would hit in FY '28. And that would be the strategy that I would recommend pursuing. So we wouldn't add additional personnel next year, next fiscal year.
Sounds good.
So identify a route for Rucker Boulevard connector and seek a cost estimate. We're still working with various property owners on that. We have a couple of routes that would produce about 70% of the route, but we still are having very little luck tying in somewhere along Port of Lunsford Road or the county road to the north of it. So until we have that, that really impacts the cost significantly. The further and deeper we go towards the Faulkner Gate, it's just exponential. It's more linear feet, and the cost goes up considerably. And that may be the option that we have to take to find some tie-in or connector there. Right now, we're trying to look somewhere along Port of Lunsford area, if we can, closer to, say, the lakes or Cotton Creek area. The closer we get to there, the shorter the route is. This route, if you recall, we had kind of a comprehensive plan. It talked about a lot of different connector roads that are way more than the city could financially afford. But in a 20-year, 30-year perfect world, if we could connect this, it almost looked like kind of an outer ring around Bollweevil Circle to tie in areas. We picked this route in particular because we said we can't do them all. Let's narrow it down to one. And this route does a couple of other things for the city and the schools. So one, it changes if we're able to get a connector road, it changes the ability for bus routes. It's no longer a time issue to be able to basically go all the way down Rucker Boulevard on the bypass and then up 27 somewhere to a lot of the new neighborhoods that are there, which makes busing really problematic for, if they were to be zoned for Heron Creek or Rucker Boulevard Elementary in particular. So it would give the school system options in the future for busing. And because of the fire station presence on Rucker Boulevard, it would immediately open up and reduce run times and volumes for the fire department on Rucker Boulevard. So they could respond faster, which would hopefully impact ISO ratings for people in those new neighborhoods that live there. So, and it would certainly impact things like the fire study that we're doing now. If we had that road, it would change the calculus on, do we need a new station or do we need it today or 10 years from now? So that's why we picked that route versus, one of the other ones. Any questions about that?
Speaking of the fire study and this route, does the fire study take into consideration that this road might be developed?
I don't think so. I think it literally looks at today in growth, right? It's not what ifs.
Okay, just be interesting to see how the cost weighed out. Like, does it suddenly make sense to build the road because of the cost savings on the fire if it were?
Yeah, and I would tell you, no matter what the road costs, it could be $2 million, it could be $8 million, depending on the route. I would recommend not doing the road unless you could find a grant to do the road, especially the further it got towards $8 million. It would be very difficult to absorb for the city without cutting costs somewhere.
Yeah.
So the training evaluation and performance plan, that's something that I think, again, Allison's alluded to. Once we get this new system with Paycom, there's going to be a lot of capabilities that we currently don't have that'll be automated. Everything from payroll to performance plans, timekeeping, where supervisors will, get some training on that, but it will allow us to transition into that performance and evaluation plan very easily. And so I'm excited to get you an update on that this quarter. Fund the first phase of Rucker Boulevard plan. So within that, the first thing that we need to do is adopt formally the Rucker Boulevard plan. Tim, I don't know, you're back there, I saw you earlier. Will you come up and give us an update on the Rucker Boulevard plan?
Yeah, Rucker Boulevard, we are making just some final corrections to that plan, and we should be able to, I'm anticipating we can release that for your review, probably at some point in this quarter. The sooner the better. We can get it out to you, but we're very close on that. So. Any questions I can answer for you on that? Okay.
So assuming we get that to you in the next month or so, I would recommend reviewing that and then honing in on some portion of it, whether, I know a couple of you at one point had mentioned, parks or accessibility, walkability, signalization, whatever it is within the plan that you want to do, and saying, hey, we want to either budget that for next FY or a portion of money to fund, engineering to design what that might look like, or a land acquisition, but something for the budget, whether that's $10,000 or $10 million, I'll leave to you, but what does it look like, and what do we need to spend next year to start trying to tackle that? And if you recall, part of that lexicon, we looked at the Opelika Road area up near Auburn and Opelika that had a similar plan and model. But I just think back to, 2002 or so when I moved to Enterprise and what the downtown area looked like. And I think I said this when we did the Rucker Boulevard meetings, but downtown looks great today. It looks a lot different than it did in 2002 when I moved here. So those changes don't happen overnight, and they take a little time and planning to build momentum. So I want to, I guess, caution the public, caution you. Those first few investments, they might not seem like a lot, but they build momentum if you continue to invest and do the right thing over a period of time. And then hopefully 20 years later, we've made a significant dent along the Rucker Boulevard corridor to start accomplishing those goals. And then private money at some point starts pouring in and investing, which you see now. I think downtown's a great case study for that. There's a lot of public investment that was made to set the stage for private investment to follow. And it took well over a decade before a lot of private investment started coming. But it's coming, and we see it in significant volume now, where we didn't, even 5 or 10 years ago. Again, quarterly nuisance property report, customer service experience, Coffee County Animal Control. I'm still waiting to have an agreement with Coffee County for that. We will make a backup plan should that agreement not be ready this quarter, to budget something to continue to work on animal control, if that's an option with our current contract. And then fire station study, I think there's a reasonable chance we get that back this quarter. If not, it may slip to the fourth quarter. Healthcare Authority, we'll have them in this quarter to talk about phase 2 of the healthcare study. And then I marked the issues being fixed on Daleville Avenue as complete, something Councilwoman Rich brought up at a few different meetings over this last quarter. But those, if you've driven it recently, the paving has been redone on that. It's a lot smoother ride. So I think those issues that she had brought up have been addressed and complete, so I marked it as complete. And that's our Q3 goals.
Does anyone have any questions on the ones that we've discussed so far? Do we have anything that we want to add to our future consideration list? Okay. Well, then, if we have nothing else on that, then we'll move into going over our agenda for the main meeting tonight.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We'll begin with our roll call and opening prayer and pledge of allegiance, and approval of the agenda. And then we will approve the consent agenda. In the consent agenda tonight is contract billings for Ardura Group for the wastewater treatment upgrades, $8,880 for an invoice, another invoice for $39,772. Poly Incorporated, $1,375 for consulting services for the wastewater. Ewing Connor and Associates, $3,000 for contract administrative services on the CDBG demolition project. Then we have some travel requests for the fire department, Parks and Rec, municipal court, and the police department. Any questions on any of this? All right. Then we will have some certificates of achievements presented. Presentation from the City of Daleville. Presentation from Southeast Alabama Golf Association. And privilege of the floor, staff reports. Under old business, we have a public hearing and consideration of an ordinance for rezoning on the James Otis Wyndham Family Trust rezone of 3.448 acres of land from Ag to B3, located at 2101 Bullweevil Circle. I don't recall, was this recommended by the?
It was recommended unanimously by the Planning Commission. You all received, I believe, in your packet, a copy of the presentation that we have, and we'll present that to you with some of the background information at your regular meeting here shortly.
Okay. Thank you. And then we have Planning Commission recommendations. We'll introduce a whole bunch of rezonings. Rezoning of 5.36 acres of land, Rhonda Bright from Ag to B1. 0.6 acres of land by MNS Development from B1 to B2 at 435 Glover Avenue. 6.94 acres of land owned by Galenco Incorporated from, this is annexation and zoning into the city limits and establish zoning of R1. And then a rezone of 19.19 acres of land owned by Galenco from Ag to R1. And then we're introducing for the O'Berry Family Revocable Trust, annexation and zoning of 3.14 acres of land to B3. Same family trust, 6.76 acres of land to B3 zone. And then another one, same family trust for annexation and zoning of 36.62 acres of land to R4. Are all of these, you said all of these are recommended, or is there any that's not? I don't.
Council members, all of those were recommended for approval. The only detail that I'll point out to you, the rezoning at the intersection of 167 and 3 Notch. That one did have a 6-1 vote. That was the only one that was not unanimous.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And then we will have a public hearing and consideration of Resolution 72126 regarding the consideration and approval of certain economic development incentives to be granted to the city, by the city, to Main Street Enterprise Realty LLC.
Yes, sir. So the developer's actually here. I told him he'd come to the work session of the council meeting if he'd like.
Okay.
I figured I would, told him if he talked during the work session, he might not have to stay for the council meeting. If he didn't want to, you could answer any questions. But I'll let him tell you a little bit about the project that he's working on and why the incentive is important to it.
Okay.
Hello, and thank you for the opportunity to come before you with this particular request. Me and my group, we've invested quite a bit into downtown Enterprise over the past 3 years. We've done things like Butcher's Daughter, Par and Pour, Agape, the other hospice company. And we're continuing to move forward, trying to develop as much as we can and to revitalize as much as we can. In this particular case, we had a local group, Mr. Adam Shanks and his wife, with Milky Moose. We met them, and we saw a good opportunity to meet up with some local restaurateurs and to expand this thing. It's just the question is we're starting to put in, there's been a lot of changes for the construction of modern kitchens in the past, a decade. For example, some of the new hood systems. You're looking at what used to cost $8,500 to hang a hood. Now to get a fully integrated system, you're looking at about $160,000 for a fully functional restaurant. So we've been downtown a lot asking about also other infrastructure as far as plumbing and everything else, trying to make sure that we are able to provide the infrastructure needed to have safe and healthy food. With that being said, I think the total build-out cost for this particular area is about $350 a square foot, all in. So we're asking, but we want to be able to keep rental rates within grasp of local people. Our model is very simple. We look for a 10 cap across the board. So say, for example, 350 would be $35 a square foot, whereas, say, what we're getting that down to for them is $25 a square foot, implying a $250 build-out cost. So if any other particular questions, I don't want to babble, but I mean, you guys all know how this works.
Can I get your name for the record?
Sorry, my name is Chuck Halbert. I represent a company called Savvy Resources. We do commercial development, as well as I have several other family entities as far as Pecan Grove Development, Greenleaf Development, and several others in town.
You might want to tell them what the project is, like what are you going to create?
Oh, sure, if you cue it up.
Yeah, so I told him he may want to talk about a little bit more about what the project is and what it will create. But just I know this is something that frequently gets asked. This particular incentive is performance-based, so Mr. Halbert here does not get a penny of taxpayer dollars that the project didn't create. In other words, the build-out and the construction will generate some amount of sales tax revenue to the city, and then whatever tenant does or does not occupy it. So the first metric is the performance base of the building has to get built. When the building gets built, he'll be eligible for the incentive. And then if there's a tenant, which I understand he has a tenant lined up, but if there's not a tenant in it and it produces no revenue, then he gets no incentive. And that period is capped. I think it was 5 years. And it was at $600,000 or $600,000 over 5 years. So those numbers aren't pulled from like scratch. It's based on the pro forma of the tenant, on what they think that tenant will generate in gross sales, and then we take the sales tax out of that, and 50% of that sales tax money roughly is the formula we use to figure out, if he's in line with what that tenant says they'll do. If they fall short, it's lower. If they fall, if they outperform, then it obviously accelerates the whole schedule. So the incentive might only last for 2 years or 3 years, but at the maximum, it would be for 5 years. Tell them where.
So basically, roughly right now, Adam and his family, they employ about, I think it's about 10 people. So that you're probably looking at annual sales of anywhere projected, I'm going to give you a wide range of $3.5 to $5 million a year on annual sales. So you'd be looking at roughly 4% sales tax,
Yeah.
and half of that.
But tell them where the project is.
Oh, sorry, 110 Easy Street.
That's just past the Pecan Company, right?
That is the Pecan Company.
Yeah, the Pecan Company, and the lot beside it.
Yes.
Yes.
So it would be an extension thereof of that same building, as well as an upper deck. Yeah. So, yeah.
So how many square feet?
Oh, I'm sorry. Roughly 5,200 square foot on the bottom floor. You're looking at about another 3,500. So you're right at, 8,500 square foot downtown.
They'll have a second floor.
Yeah, I'm pushing for the second floor. Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Any questions?
I think that it fits the area that we have identified. It also fits the criteria that it be performance-based that we've identified, so. Anybody have any questions or comments?
Not on that. Can I go in reverse on something?
Sure.
Hey, can I go back to not with you, sir, this is something previous, I'm sorry. The 36-acre rezone that was recommended went to R4 on the O'Berry. I thought we were going PRD there, but it says R4. Am I
Yeah.
not understanding? Or what changed, I guess?
Yes, we actually held a meeting with the applicant on July the 1st prior to the July 14th meeting, and decided that was going, based upon the project that was submitted to us for review. After review, we looked at that, and the applicant decided, based upon conversations we had with him, that R4 was going to be the best fit for the project that was submitted. So it was changed from PRD to R4. And then also B3 on the front.
Would you mind just giving us a distinguishment between R4 and PRD?
R4 is the mixed residential district. It allows for not just single-family residential, but allows for duplexes, triplexes, and quadplexes. It does not allow for any commercial uses at all, but the PRD district is the planned residential district. It's designed to provide for a primarily residential project that can have a commercial component, but it's allowed to be, it's basically designed to be a case that is presented to you and reviewed by both Planning Commission and approved by you as an overall master plan prior to anything taking place. And that becomes essentially the master document that is adhered to throughout the development of the project itself. It's designed to provide for some flexibility pertaining to some of the dimensional standards, setbacks, lot sizes, those sorts of things. But also at the same time, it's designed to be an innovative project, something that can be of particular benefit to the city and also to the residents that are living within that particular district itself. That's essentially what a PRD is. But this was ultimately decided that R4 was going to be the best fit. They did submit a subdivision plat to go along with this, and that was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission, subject to your approval of the rezoning and annexation of that piece as well.
But you said they did submit the design of the.
That's correct. Yes.
So one other question, R4 wouldn't give, is it less stringent in terms of control as to what is the final product looks like than a PRD? Because a PRD is a little more stringent, right?
Potentially, yes, the PRD would be a bit more stringent, but in this case, we do have the subdivision plat in hand, and that has already been recommended for approval by the Planning Commission. It doesn't need to be reviewed by you ultimately, but it is subject to your approval of the annexation and rezoning. And we'll certainly have that to show to you what the actual project is proposed to look like. They're proposing 182 residential lots to be constructed in phases, in 3 different phases. And they're about 40, the lots are about 40 feet wide. That particular lot width did not meet our PRD standards. It's one reason why we advised him to go with the R4 for the residential component, and then also B3 on the front. So.
What about the vertical? Do we have any draft or plan as far as what the vertical is going to look like? I know you mentioned the plat.
As far as what is concerned?
The vertical construction, what, the aesthetics, what it's going to look like. Do we have anything like that?
As I understand, we have not received anything, but as I understand, they are supposed to be single-story homes, single-family residential, detached.
Tim, are you going to show the PowerPoints and things you showed us at planning on that? Do you have any of those, or?
I certainly can provide that to you. We would normally show that to you at the public hearing that is scheduled to take
okay,
next
for
month.
ET,
But yes, you
okay.
will absolutely see that next month.
Yeah. Casey, if you see that PowerPoint stuff, clears it up. Cleared up a lot of questions we had on the Planning Commission from the PRD. So, thank you, Tim.
All right, next on the agenda is authorize mayor to execute petition to vacate portion of right-of-way for County Road 602 and 606 for the county road realignments associated with the FAA AIP project.
So yes, this is part of the County Road 606 relocation project. Last month, council approved us dedicating the new right-of-way along the new road to Coffee County. And this is going back and vacating, we're petitioning Coffee County to vacate the old right-of-way. Since the city owns the property on both sides, we're asking that they vacate it and it would come back to the city for our use.
Any questions on that? All right, next on the agenda is authorize fire chief to execute memorandum of agreement with United Aero Group, Alabama ARFF Services for emergency firefighting and emergency services at Enterprise Municipal Airport. Aircraft rescue and firefighting.
We do this every year. It's part of the contract that they have to be able to maintain the contracts that they have with the military. It just means that we will meet certain metrics in line with Air Force contracts. We work well together. I'd ask that we continue.
Any questions? Thank you. Review and consider street lighting request on Mullen Street for installation of 131-watt LED light fixture at an annual cost of $88.56. Looks kind of like a routine request here.
Yes, it is. It's just authorized us to enter into that agreement with Alabama Power. This is going to supplement an existing fixture that is right at the corner of North Main Street and Mullins Drive. This would be in line with the first house where they're proposing to place a light over the street itself. And so we just needed the authorization to move ahead with that. So.
Any questions? Thank you. And then request permission to seek bids for lighting installation PV Park Phase 2.
So yes, this is a request to seek bids for the installation. If you remember, I think it was 2 council meetings ago, we got the approval for the equipment itself to put the ball field lights out on PV side of the project. And so this will be going through Barry's department to seek bids to do the installation for it.
Any questions? All right, thank you. All right, next on our agenda, we have a request to go into executive session for real estate economic development. And can I get a motion?
Make a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We do not expect to conduct any further work session business, and so we will come back in after our executive session for our 6 o'clock meeting. And we're in room
that would explain why you have the background investigation experience. Yeah. I'm trying to think, well, my old first sergeant is at Colorado Springs. I still talk to him, he was in the stupid election. There's some labor advice.
He passed away, you know. Yes, there's always one or two people that keep in touch. Anything like when you do that kind of type of thing. Like, I have another one that I knew. Who he kept in touch with somebody else.
But there's 4 people for my first assignment at Fort Benning with the 179 MI detachment there, and we all still keep in touch with each other. I mean, one's in West Virginia, one's in New Jersey, one's down in Florida, and I'm here. Yeah, we still interact on Facebook. I know. Well, I've got a friend who just asked me today, he said, hey, we still have contacts for a task for the kids. So, no, I don't have anybody there. Because I'm thinking, that was just like yesterday or something, like that was 20 years ago.
20 years and 25. 35 years, 36 years. That's something.
Well, next year will be 50 years since I'm on there. I delayed entry in 76, so actually in December, it'd be 50 years. I didn't actually go on until December 7th. Yeah, so it's hard. That's so much money. I'm coming back from Montgomery, and I haven't sat in a city council meeting long, and they're playing it on the radio, so all the cities that have city council. They said Ozark, Troy, and Enterprise. You know, I gotta go right back. So let me just stop it. I'm just on my way.
I'm looking at the council meeting in Tuscaloosa.
Oh, okay, okay.
I try to keep up with doing like you did about those.
Yeah.
And I try to make it out here. I know what's going on there. Since I go to Tuscaloosa so much, and my daughter lives up there.
I know that they have problems with some of these properties that have been run down. So I would show that state notices and say, clean up your stuff, we're ready to.
Yeah, they've been really happy for life. They've been really happy people come in. They really
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing. If you got property, you can't just keep renting it out and not maintain it. These people are paying rent. You should use that rent money to keep it up. Yes. I know there's some, that one that's behind the Chevrolet or stuff like that. Road was in bad shape. Oh, yeah. And the whole, that was. I'm surprised that, 10 years ago, we didn't have any ordinances to make people do it. So that we had people that like jump in the yard and you couldn't do it anymore. So they had to actually make an ordinance.
right up here. Watch me. When we are done with this, you do not have to stay during the whole council meeting. We would love for you to learn about our government and our city, but we know that you have other things that you might need to do. So if you do need to, we'll get you back to your seats, and then if you quietly, when you're ready as a group, you can exit on the side. That's like a flight attendant. You may exit the side, not down the middle.
We will call this July 21st meeting of the City Council to order. Let the record show that all members of the council are in attendance. Let's stand for the opening prayer and pledge of allegiance. Reverend Ben Bowden will offer a prayer tonight.
Let us pray. Father God, we thank you for this time together. Lord, we thank you for this city, the city of progress, Enterprise, Alabama. It's a great place. It's a great place to raise children. It's a safe place, and it's because of the hard workers of our leaders and so many servants in this town. Lord, we pray for your blessing. We know that unless the Lord builds a house, laborers labor in vain, and so we want to put you first in everything. Jesus himself said, seek first the kingdom of God, and all these other things will be added to you. And that's what we are about, not only tonight, but that's what we want to be about for all of our lives. And so, Lord, I pray that we would cherish you and glorify you and enjoy you forever. Lord, give us wisdom. You tell us if anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives to all without finding fault. And Lord, I think about these ball players behind me and the parents and the coaches. And I'm so thankful for how they went to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and represented this town so well. And they, even when they lost one game, they lost with dignity. But when they won, and then when they won big, they won with humility. And that was a beautiful thing, and it really reflected the character of Christ. And so, Lord, I pray that we would see that more and more in this town and in this world. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Let's join from the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call for a motion to approve the agenda of the meeting as submitted.
I move to approve the agenda of the meeting as submitted.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we'll do the consideration of the consent agenda. All matters listed within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the council for review, are considered to be routine, and will be enacted by one motion to the city council with no separate discussion. Separate discussion is desired on an item. That item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda by request of the member of the city council. I call for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I'd now like to recognize Mayor Cooper and Blake Moore, Director of Community Services and Recreation, to present certificates of achievement to the Girl Scout ambassadors.
First, I would like to say good evening to everyone. At this time, I would like to recognize Alexis Holub for earning the Girl Scout Gold Award and the highest honor in Girl Scouting. Alexis, would you please come up here to join me? As part of her Gold Award project, Alexis designed and installed hydration stations at the Enterprise Bog Park, creating a lasting improvement that benefits both residents and their pets. Her initiative, leadership, and commitment to serving the community has left a meaningful and lasting impact on one of our city's parks. We congratulate Alexis on this outstanding achievement and thank her for her dedication to making Enterprise even a better place to live. I would now like to invite Blake Moore to join me as we present this certificate of achievement.
And ladies and gentlemen, council, I've asked Alexis if she would, you should have a packet of what the project is that she did at the dog park. And so I've asked Alexis if she would give us a couple minutes of her time to share her platform and exactly what she did to earn her award from the Girl Scouts. So Alexis?
So hi, I'm Alexis. I'm a part of Troop 9048 of Girl Scouts, and this is the highest award you can achieve as a Girl Scout. It is up to 80 hours of the work. Sorry. While I was working at the Grand Polished, I realized that they had automatic water bowls, and I realized that they could be used other places in like the dog parks, such as Enterprise. So I thought I could do that as my gold award, and then it would help. And during the process, it was really fun and hardworking. It was hot too. But the main reason why I did this is because of the heat strokes in dogs, and people don't realize that, and they don't really know the signs of the heat strokes. So I've also put out signs out there at the dog park to make sure people know what to look for in the heat stroke and what to do if they're having a heat stroke. And I also have a QR code out there if y'all wouldn't mind going out there to scan it, and it has like a survey. It's no right or wrong answers. It's just easy questions, and it's just a survey for me. It just helps with the global link that I have to have for this project. I would also like to thank, for this, helping me with this project, Dr. Barnes, Goldsby Plumbing, Rent Ready Equipment, Mr. Moore, and Mr. Harrelson, and also many others. Thank you for supporting and helping me be able to achieve this award as a Girl Scout. Mr. Harrison and my dad were also able to ensure the plumbing was installed correctly in the 2 automatic water bowls in the dog parks. Both water bowls are installed to help dogs have access to water in different circumstances if one of the water bowls is becoming inoperable. And it does have a shut-off valve, so if it doesn't work in like the cold winters, y'all can just shut it off. It's really easy. And I'm also providing replacement parts for y'all. I will hand that to you later. And I would also like to thank Bowlville Graphics for making the signs to be placed at Johnny Henderson Park, and to ensure that the large and durable signs were provided with information on signs of heat strokes in dogs and what to do if the dog is having a heat stroke. Thank you, Dr. Barnes, with the Enterprise Animal Hospital for providing feedback and ensuring accurate information. Also, on each water bowl, there is a sign provided, the directions of the signs of how to clean it out and how it, the heat strokes, really. And that's about it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you again, Alexis. Alexis met with Landon and I, our superintendent for Parks and Rec, a couple months ago, and you could tell she was very passionate about this project. And so if anybody's wondering where our dog park's located, it's right up here off 167 at Johnny Henderson Family Park. And so again, another prime example of youth in our community doing good things. And Alexis, we're proud of you, and thank you very much. So let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you, Alexis, for your contribution to the city, as well as congratulations on your award. And now, Mayor Cooper and Blake Moore, Director of Community Services and Recreation, Landon Adams, Park and Recreation Superintendent, and Ian, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, Athletics Coordinator, will present certificates of achievements to the 10U Baseball USSSA World Series champions.
Again, we are having a chance to recognize our children, I call them the children, the good deeds that they are doing. Nowhere else in the Wiregrass or in America will you find anything like what's going on here in Enterprise. We are number one when it comes down to our children participating and being a part of great programs. At this time, we are proud to recognize the Enterprise 10 and under baseball all-star team, the 2026 USSA Rec World Series champions. These young athletes represent the city of Enterprise with exceptional talent, determination, and teamwork throughout the season, culminating in an outstanding World Series championship. Their achievement reflects not only their hard work on the field, but also the dedication of their coaches, parents, families, and supporters who have encouraged them every step of the way. I would now like to invite Blake Moore and his staff to join me as we present these certificates of achievement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And at this time, I invite the 10U All-Star Baseball team and coaches to come to the front. And so a couple weeks ago, we honored our state champions that were in Oxford, our 7U and 8U and 10U team. And 10U couldn't make it with us that night due to the fact that they were on the way to Baton Rouge. So we had to call the operator and send our boys on down to Baton Rouge. I know Councilman Mike likes some Garth Brooks, so I threw that one in there for him. But we're so proud of these boys. They went down to Baton Rouge. Actually, they won the state tournament in Oxford, which gave them the right to go. If you will remember last year, a lot of these guys were in 9U and won the state tournament and also went down to the World Series and won. So if you will, we've got back-to-back World Series champions right here tonight. And so we're very proud of them. Like Brother Pastor said in his prayer earlier, they went down there, they got in the championship series. They had to be beat twice, and they lost the first game. And a lot of times when you lose that first game, it takes a lot of the momentum out of you, and you get down on yourselves. But not this team. This team is very resilient, almost like the Enterprise spirit. Is what we have here. And when times get rough, they keep going, pick themselves up, and they've completed that second game and brought home a World Series to Enterprise. So let's give them a round of applause for that. So at this time, I'm going to call their names out, and our superintendent's here. Ian Terrio, who's our athletic coordinator, couldn't be with us tonight. We've got our fall sports are starting up, and so he's with a draft tonight, getting that ready. But Ian went with this team, went with all three teams, and so proud of Ian and representing our city and these boys as well. So when we call your name out, Landon's going to pass you a certificate, and Mayor's going to follow up with a handshake, and then we're going to stay put because we want to get a picture with everybody as well with council. So for our 10U Baseball U-Trip World Series champions, Brooks Addy, Jacob Bowden, MJ Danner, Walker Dow, Owen Goodson, Parker Horn, Cade Jones, Brooks Martin, Braxton Munn, Trenton Stinson, Bryce Tart, Warren Wimberly, Head Coach Ethan Stinson, Assistant Coach Jason Jones, Assistant Coach Derek Goodson, and Assistant Coach Stephen Addy. Again, ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a round of applause. Our 2026 from Enterprise, Alabama, the U-Trip World Series champions. Very proud of you guys.
Oops, sorry, Tammy. All right, coaches, I'm gonna bring the coaches up. Sorry, two coaches down this side. Actually, the coaches, I put all the coaches in there. The boys have to speak this way. Yep. Yep. All in focus. Oh, hang on, got that certificate. Good job, young men. Good job, they're all right. Hold on, one more there, and then we're gonna get the parents in here. Some good smiles out there. Okay, parents, come grab pictures real quick. All right, keep smiling, no tongues out, smile. Smiles, doing good, doing good. Smiles, keep going. This is what happens when you're famous. There you go, keep smiling. Keep smiling. Are we good out there? Oh, well, we good? Ladies and gentlemen, good job.
This time I'd like to recognize Daleville, Alabama Mayor Jamie Staten for a presentation.
All righty. First of all, let me thank the council and the mayor and Jonathan for allowing me to come over here and let y'all know how much we appreciate your workers. City of Daleville had a real bad water leak a few weeks ago, and we were having catastrophic equipment breaking down. And we reached a few other cities to try to get some help, and they had their own issues going. So I reached out to Jonathan Tullis, and he got a hold of his people, and they made it happen. They got us a dump truck. And then when I went to get the dump truck, they said, well, you know, you got to have a CDL. I don't have a CDL, so they were gracious enough to pull one of their workers off to come help us. And, you know, y'all didn't have to do that. Most of the time, it seems like cities are competing against each other. And I know Enterprise is a little jealous of Daleville, but, you know. You know, in the end, we're here to help each other, because what affects one city can affect another. And we have to work together, regardless of if we're, you know, trying to get this supermarket or this grant before the other city or whatever. You know, we are the Wiregrass, and we do work hand in hand and great together when we need to. So I would like to recognize the workers and their supervisors that made this all happen. So let me see if I could get Jonathan to come up. Oh, yeah. Can I get Greg Adams to come up? Mr. Adams? Can I get Matt Hensky? Mr. Matt? Could I also get Brian Mott? Barry, sorry. Oh, he's not here? Okay. Huh? Oh, Shannon, yeah. Hold on, okay. I guess I should have brought my glasses. Oh, yeah. There we go. So you said who's not here? Barry? All right. Okay. Sorry, I'll get my stuff together here in just a minute. Again, I just want to say thank you. You know, you had your own tasks. Make sure that City of Daleville, make sure the City of Enterprise is, you know, functioning like a well-oiled machine that, you know, that's what y'all do day in and day out. And again, I want to appreciate, you know, y'all didn't have to do it, but you did. And I really want to say thank you. So, Matt. And I also want to present them with a City of Daleville coin. And I want to thank you. Thank you. Shannon. Greg. Appreciate you. Again, Mayor, City Council, you got great folks that work here. I again want to say thank you. If you ever need us, we'll be there. You just let us know. So thank you. So moving on to the next, oh, sorry, that's a habit. Thank you, thank you. Yeah.
Gentlemen in the front, if I can get you all to just shift down a little bit for me. If I can get you, sir, on the other side of the gray. Go that much. There we go. Yep, perfect. Thank you.
And John?
Thank you, Mayor Staten.
Thank you.
I will now recognize Councilmember District 5, Todd Walls, to present an award to the City of Enterprise.
Thank you, Council President. I'm actually going to have Philip Chalker, Vice President of the Southeast Alabama Disc Golf Association. He has a brief presentation, and you have a packet. City Council should have a packet with for SCA DGA or SETGA, which is the Southeast Alabama Disc Golf Association, to follow along with. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you, Councilman Walls. That's fun to say. We normally call him Todd, you know, out of the disc golf course. Guys, it's great to be here in the City of Enterprise. Back in 2018, a couple guys put their noggins together and we wanted to quote a disc golf course. 4 years later, in 2022, the legendary LZ opened up to the public. And for those of you that don't know what disc golf is, it's the rules of ball golf, but we throw Frisbees into chain targets. You've probably seen them out there at Johnny Henderson Park. It's a great pastime. It gets lots of people outdoors. And what I serve as vice president, and with Todd, with the SEEDGA organization, we're a nonprofit that helps promote events, promote course maintenance, and all kinds of fun events for local citizens to get involved in. So why we're here today is to honor the City of Enterprise for the course of the LZ, because what you guys may not know is in the disc golf world, course design is a very serious business, and it's really hard to get high marks in disc golf course design. There's a lot of forces at play. There's public right-of-ways, there's walking trails, there's water hazards, forests. All that has to come together to make a great disc golf course. And with Johnny Henderson Park, I mean, the city knocked it out of the park with that course. If you aren't aware, let me go over some stats for you here. The LZ has over 800 reviews with an average score of 4.6, which makes it number 6 in the entire state. So that is, like, I play disc golf in all over the country, actually, as far west as Washington State and as far south as Florida. And to be in the top 10 of your state is an achievement that's very rare, especially for a community of this size. So let's give a round of applause to the City Parks group for putting that course in. So a quick overview of SEEDGA, though, for those that don't know. We simply exist to promote disc golf, to get more people active in the community, to get them outdoors, get them healthy. We do that in 4 ways. We run events and tournaments. We have a junior program that's growing quickly. We run an annual event each year. We're working on integrating that with different communities and schools, hopefully one day, with different community courses. And then, of course, we do course development. We come to the cities and we say, hey, we want to help you provide this course for the town. What can we do? And that's kind of been our process. And again, we were welcomed with open arms in the city to do just that. So in your deck there that you've got going through, there was a couple slides about events. So I do want to touch on that because events are the lifeblood of a disc golf community. Just like we saw these talented young baseball players win their championship, there's nothing better than having a good competitive event to kind of bring the city together. And one of our best annual events is the 4th Annual Aviation Heritage Memorial, which has always been hosted at the LZ. We've got a big support from the aviation community in Fort Rucker, and so we love to honor our military with that event. And of course, there's no better town to do it than right here in Enterprise. So we had competitors from Panama City, Montgomery, Pensacola, Destin, Tallahassee, Birmingham, Dothan, all over came for that aviation memorial. And this is the 4th year we've done it, and we've sold out max capacity. We can only provide competition for what the course will do, and with one course, we're capped. But the good news is that shows demand for future courses and course development. So, good job there for the staff that ran the Aviation Memorial. Awesome event. I love being a part of it each year. I do the photography. We've got some discs for the council members tonight. I'm going to bring those to you here in just a second. And then lastly in your slide deck, we just want to keep that momentum going. I mean, this is awesome. The tournament's awesome, but there's a few things that we want to keep doing, and what SEEDGA's mission is about. We want to link up with the city and keep providing course maintenance, which you guys have done an awesome job doing. We want to keep looking at new projects, new opportunities in the city for a second course. We'd love to integrate that with some walking trails. The new university construction is beautiful. You have some nice property out there. We'd love to talk about that one day. And then, of course, we want to just continue to support local events by just providing the support that we've gotten from places like Visit Enterprise. And I believe if Miss Tammy's here, we can go ahead and kick off the rewards section with, is Miss Tammy here from Visit Enterprise? I've got something really cool for you. I'll be right back. You got to be really good at disc golf to get one of these, so you're honorary. This is a coveted trophy for the local event, and we wanted you to have it because Visit Enterprise has been such a great supporter of our organization. And again, we all want one of these. We have to be really good. So consider yourself lucky. All right, and Ms. Tammy, we've also got some of your coworkers to recognize. Mr. Blake Moore, the LZ, by being 6th place in the state, we've got a limited edition sign to be hung at the course, which is truly an honor. You don't see it very often. There's only 10 in each state that get this, so this is going to be for you. Hopefully you'll put it out at the course, and there's also a banner. There you go. batch of goodies to give out. All right, and of course, Mayor Bill and Mr. Jonathan, City Admin, we've got some discs for you, so if you haven't played yet, we're going to get you out there and throw them. So here we go. Yeah, sure. Keep one for yourself, please. And I think we got enough, too, so you guys are going to get one as well. We'll give this Enterprise Blue disc to the mayor here. That's for you. You're welcome, so thanks for having me.
It's a good color, it matches. Sonia will appreciate this. They'll help me out with this. I've seen walls of them.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, this is truly, I don't want it to go under the radar here. This is a huge reward for disc golf in the city of Enterprise. We are the only, Enterprise LZ is the only course within a 2-hour circle, I believe, that's been ranked on that top 10 list. So that continues to make Enterprise a destination for disc golf and all outdoor sports. Thank you guys very much. Thank you guys again for your time. Enjoyed it.
Thank you, Phil.
It's time for privilege of the floor. This is part of the meeting where anyone in attendance tonight who wishes to address the council may do so for 3 minutes. If there's a public hearing on the agenda for the topic you're concerned with, please wait until that public hearing opens to address the council. If they choose, staff, mayor, and council will respond to your comments during the appointed times later in the meeting. Repetitive, disruptive, and disparaging comments will not be tolerated. If you're found out of order, your privileges can and will be revoked. Does anyone wish to address the council at this time?
I'm Lorenzo Harrison. Good evening, council, mayor. I come before you at this time, and I want to thank you all for the way that you all get information out to the citizen without any extra cost. I know there might be people that don't get all the information, but I'd like to say that our city is great to have a public information manager who gets information out with all the things that happen, especially after the council, get all the pictures out and all the information out. And also the mayor, at the end of the meeting, he's always announcing what had happened for the city before, and he's announcing things that are coming. And I know this city also has Facebook, and also Visit Enterprise has Facebook. Facebook, TikTok's a great way of getting information, but it's one thing about it, everybody don't get the information at the same time. I know sometimes I'll get things about the library, my wife might not get it till the next day. The information is getting out. Visit Enterprise, get a lot of information for that. So you all do provide avenues where people can get information, and also all the chairs that you have here, you have room for people to come and get the information firsthand. But I just wanted to come before you and thank you all for the way that you do get information out, do what you can, and I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Lorenzo.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the council? Do we have any staff reports tonight?
you got
Oh, you got
Good evening, council people and mayor. My name's Dana, and I'm just a concerned citizen in the sense that I go to Henderson Park on a regular basis, walking my fur baby. And within the last 2 weeks, we've had incidents where there's at least, I know, at least 9 geese that have died unexpectedly. And so I'm just concerned. My dog used to go in the water, drink the water, and of course, you know, I thought, but I'm just concerned about that. It's a beautiful park. I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm just concerned about the geese. They don't know. I don't know if it's under investigation or what, about what's causing it or whatever. But I've at least seen 2 that are just kind of right where the helicopter is. They're just kind of floating out there and all. So thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, ma'am, what was your last name?
Dana Barker.
Thank you, Ms. Barker.
Do we have any staff reports?
Council, just to follow that up, we have been in communication from Parks and Recreation side with Alabama Wildlife Management and spoke with Andrew Green. He's the wildlife biologist today, and he's came out a couple of times now to investigate the situation, and it is an ongoing investigation through them. So as soon as we have an update on that, we'd be happy to share. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Council. I just wanted to provide some updates from Main Street at this time. Following up from our most recent Main Street Alabama grant, which we were awarded last year, we are hoping to finish that up this week, which is super exciting for us. With the current grant, we're able to provide 30 of our downtown businesses with improved signage, which we hope will increase the foot traffic and visibility for our businesses, just overall doing something kind for them, as well as increasing the signage and visibility of our Nook public space. So to highlight in that as well, the Parks and Rec Department has been absolutely fantastic. I just want to give them a quick little shout out. We've had James Foster, Blake Horton, and Bryson Deere. They have been fabulous at getting everything set up. So if you are driving downtown anytime soon, you may see that there is a new archway in the Nook and a new little insert sign. So just wanted to highlight what we've been doing with our grant funds. But as we close out that grant, we do have the opportunity to apply for new grants. And with that grant, our board and our design committee have been discussing improving some of our current waste receptacles downtown. It's been a discussion we've had over several years. We've increased some of the capacity of some of the cans already, but I just wanted to bring to your attention some of the plans that we have. We have worked with engineering and public works. I've been discussing with Shannon, so I got his thumbs up earlier today on what we plan to do. I do have photos here if you're interested in looking at it, but I just wanted to make you aware of what we plan to do going forward, and just keep an eye out downtown. We've got lots of exciting things happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other staff reports tonight? We'll move into old business. Call for a public hearing prior to consideration of ordinance 06-1626, providing for the rezoning of 3.448 acres of land owned by James Otis Wyndham Family Trust from Agriculture District to B3 Highway Commercial District, located at 2101 Bowleville Circle. This hearing is now open.
Mr. Chairman, members, just have a short presentation for you to give you a little bit of background information on this particular request. This is, as you mentioned, a request from Ag to B3 zoning located along Bowleville Circle. 2101 Bowleville Circle is the address. You can see the subject property that's listed here. You can see it is just to the north of the Woodland Park subdivision. You can see on the left side of the screen here, this is the intersection of Bowleville Circle and Damascus, or Highway 134. So it's just to the north and east of that particular intersection. So Ag zoning is located to the north and west across Bowleville Circle from this property. RT zoning is located to the south of the property in association with that Woodland Park subdivision. And then also B3 is located immediately adjacent to this property to the east. We did notify all the property owners and put up the appropriate signage for this particular request. The current use of the property is in fact vacant and wooded. So you see the zoning map that we have there. You can see the B3 that is adjacent immediately to the east. And then the Ag zoning district that is across Boll Weevil Circle itself. So if we're wanting to rezone from ag to B3, the ag zoning district that this property currently has is intended to provide that space within the community for agricultural and forestry operations. We should preserve ag lands for that purpose within the city. However, the ag district is specifically identified as that district that essentially invites a rezoning of property, invites future development opportunities to the community. So the intent of the B3, should you decide to rezone this evening, the purpose is to provide that land and uses that require a high degree of visibility, such as what you would have along Boll Weevil Circle, and vehicular access and serve the traveling public. The location and design of developments must minimize traffic hazards and adverse impacts on adjoining areas. This is certainly one of the least developed portions of Boll Weevil Circle compared to other areas around the circle, so we do not anticipate any sort of traffic hazards or adverse impacts on adjoining areas. The city does have buffer requirements that would be in place for any approval and any future project that would be allowed in the B3 zoning district. There would be buffer requirements to buffer the development from the residential areas immediately to the south of this property. So should you decide to approve this, these are the list of allowable uses. There's this extensive list of allowable uses, but nonetheless, any of these would be allowed on this property going forward anytime a new business is proposed for this property. So the future land use map, I wanted to show you this as well. You can see as you head toward the bottom left of the screen, towards the intersection of Damascus and Boll Weevil Circle, it gets to a orange and red color that indicates a heavier amount of commercial and mixed use. That's one of our hot spots that we have within the community that's designed to allow that commercial and mixed use development in the vicinity of that major intersection within the community. And then as you move away from that particular property, it's designed to be more of a transition area that still allows some of that commercial and mixed use, but it's moving towards a lighter type of use, getting more towards some of those residential areas that you find to the east of this property and to the north of Boll Weevil Circle as well. So, but nonetheless, this does fall within that transition area from that intersection. So we do feel like that this proposed rezoning would meet the comprehensive plan and its objectives regarding the future land use map itself, with it being within that transition area, with it being in the area that we anticipate there to be some commercial and mixed use development in the future, in the long range future. This is near the intersection of Boll Weevil Circle and Highway 134 within that hot spot. Commercial uses are appropriate along Boll Weevil Circle. That is specifically identified within the comprehensive plan itself. I've already mentioned the ag zoning district itself that essentially invites rezoning requests and invites future developments. And this particular applicant has expressed an interest in establishing an automotive business to go at this site. It will be a business that I believe would complement an existing business that I believe they have over in Dothan. So here's their proposed concept. Silver Star German Automotive Service is just an idea of what the building would look like on this property should you decide to approve. And so finally, staff is recommending for the request to rezone this property totaling 3.448 acres from ag to B3. Staff is recommending approval by you as the Enterprise City Council. And just as a note, the Enterprise Planning Commission also unanimously recommended approval of this request. Any questions you have, I'll answer.
Any questions from the council or the city?
You mentioned setbacks or buffers. Is that due to the neighborhood's existence right behind this property? Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Is there anyone on behalf of the family trust or developer that wants to speak tonight? Any members of the general public that would like to speak on behalf or against this rezoning? Seeing none, this hearing is now closed, and I call for consideration of ordinance 06-1626.
Move to adopt ordinance 06-1626.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll move on to new business. Introduce for the record a recommendation from the Enterprise Planning Commission to approve the following requests. A request by Justin Gordy on behalf of Rhonda J. Bright to rezone 5.36 acres of land from Agriculture District to B1 Business District located on the southeast corner of Highway 167, Plaza Drive, and 3 Notch Road. A request by Justin Martin with M&S Development LLC to rezone .60 acres of land from B1 Business District to B2 Central Business District located at 435 Glover Avenue. A request by Galenco Incorporated to annex and zone 6.94 acres of land to R1 Low-Density Single-Family Residential District located at 400 Richland Drive. A request by Galenco Incorporated to rezone 19.19 acres of land from Agriculture District to R1 Low-Density Single-Family Residential District located at 400 Richland Drive. A request by Dexter Gilly Construction LLC on behalf of O'Berry Family Revocable Trust to annex and zone 3.14 acres of land to B3 Highway Commercial District located south of Damascus Road, State Highway 134, and east of the Bullweevil Circle. A request by Dexter Gilly Construction LLC on behalf of O'Berry Family Revocable Trust to annex and zone 6.76 acres of land to B3 Highway Commercial District located south of State Highway 134 and west of the Bullweevil Circle. A request by Dexter Gilly Construction LLC on behalf of O'Berry Family Revocable Trust to annex and zone 36.62 acres of land to R4 Mixed Residential District, contingent upon the developer's submission of a mutually agreeable development schedule for the city to provide sewer capacity in phases at the property located south of State Highway 134 and west of the Bullweevil Circle. Introduce ordinance 07-2126, providing for the rezoning of 5.36 acres of land owned by Rhonda J. Bright from Agriculture District to B1 Business District, located at the southeast corner of Highway 167, Plaza Drive, and 3 Notch Road. Call for a public hearing to be held at the regular meeting scheduled for August 18th, 2026. Introduce ordinance 07-2126A, providing for the rezoning of .60 acres of land owned by M&S Development LLC from B1 Business District to B2 Central Business District located at 435 Glover Avenue. Call for a public hearing to be held at the regular meeting scheduled for August 18, 2026. Introduce ordinance 07-2126B, providing for the annexation and zoning of 6.94 acres of land owned by Galenco Incorporated into the city limits and to establish zoning of R1 Low-Density Single-Family Residential District. Call for a public hearing to be held at the regular meeting scheduled for August 18, 2026. Introduce ordinance 07-2126C, providing for the rezoning of 19.19 acres of land owned by Galenco Incorporated from Agriculture District to R1 Low-Density Single-Family Residential District located at 400 Richland Drive. A call for a public hearing to be held at the regular scheduled meeting for August 18, 2026. Introduce ordinance 07-2126D, providing for the annexation and zoning of 3.14 acres of land owned by O'Berry Family Revocable Trust into the city limits and to establish zoning of B3 Highway Commercial District. Call for a public hearing to be held at the regular meeting scheduled for August 18, 2026. Introduce ordinance 07-2126E, providing for the annexation and zoning of 6.76 acres of land owned by O'Berry Family Revocable Trust into the city limits and to establish zoning of B3 Highway Commercial District. Call for a public hearing to be held at the regular meeting scheduled for August 18, 2026. Introduce ordinance 07-2126F, providing for the annexation and zoning of 36.62 acres of land owned by the O'Berry Family Revocable Trust into the city limits and to establish zoning of R4 Mixed Residential District. Call for a public hearing to be held at the regular meeting scheduled for August 18, 2026. Call for a public hearing as advertised prior to consideration of Resolution 07-2126 regarding the consideration and approval of certain economic development incentives to be granted by the city to Main Street Enterprise Realty LLC. The public benefits sought to be achieved by such incentives are the economic growth and anticipated increase in new employment, tax revenues, and other benefits which will directly benefit the city and serve a valid and sufficient public purpose. This hearing is now open. Does the city want to present anything on this? I know we heard from the developer earlier.
Yes, sir. I can just reiterate it at the public meeting, but again, this development is in the downtown area off of Easy Street. It would be an extension of the property that adjoins Alabama Pecan Company currently. I believe the developer said it was about a $3.5 million project. It is all performance-based. The incentive is, in other words, the project has to be built out and occupied. Any sales taxes derived from that project, approximately 50% of those sales taxes would be contributed to the project for a period of up to 5 years, or $600,000, whichever came first. If the project didn't have a tenant or produced no tax revenue, they would receive $0.
Any questions? Is there anyone here to speak for or against the project? Seeing none, the hearing is now closed. Call for consideration of Resolution 072126, providing for the authorization to grant public funds and things of value to Main Street Enterprise Realty LLC to pay for a portion of the cost of acquiring, developing, and constructing a retail development on Easy Street, all subject to the terms of the agreement.
I'll move to adopt Resolution 072126.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. President, I will be recusing myself on this vote since I have a family member that's part of this project.
Anyone else? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. I call for a motion to authorize the mayor to execute a petition on behalf of the City of Enterprise for the Coffee County Commission to vacate a portion of the right-of-way on County Road 602 and 606. The petition is in relation to county road realignments associated with FAA AIP project number 3-01-0027-028-2025, the runway extension project. Do I have a motion?
I move to authorize the mayor to execute the petition as submitted.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Call for a motion to authorize the fire chief to execute a memorandum of agreement with United Aero Group, UAG, Alabama, for aircraft rescue and firefighting, ARFF, emergency services at Enterprise Municipal Airport. The agreement lays out the procedures in the event of a potential or actual emergency on or near the hangar operations of UAG, Alabama. The term of the agreement is for 1 year. Do I have a motion?
I move to authorize the fire chief to execute the agreement as submitted.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Introduce and call for consideration of a request from City Planner Tim Milstead to install one 31-watt LED light fixture on Mullen Street off Main Street at an annual cost of $88.56. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve the street lighting request as submitted.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Introduce and call for consideration of a request from City Engineer Public Works Director Barry Mott on behalf of Director of Community Services and Recreation Blake Moore to seek bids for PV Park Phase 2 lighting installation. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the request to seek bids as submitted.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mayor, do you have a report for us?
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. As we come to the close of tonight's meeting, I want to take just a moment to reflect on everything we've had the opportunity to see and discuss. This evening reminded us what Enterprise, such a special place. To recognize the Girl Scout and celebrate our World Series champions. We also heard presentations that highlighted for the strength of our community, not just Enterprise, but the Wiregrass. Tonight, we also took action on several items. These decisions may not always be the most exciting part of a council meeting, but they are some of the most important. They help us ensure that enterprise continues to grow responsibly while preserving the qualities that make our city such a great place to call home. Looking back on the agenda, one thing that stands out to me, enterprise is moving forward. We are celebrating achievements, investing in future, supporting our employees, and working together to make thoughtful decisions for our citizens. I want to thank my fellow council members for their continued commitment to this city. We all come to this table with the same goal, to do what is best for the people of Enterprise. I appreciate the respect, cooperation, and dedication of each of you that brings to that responsibility. There's a great deal happening here in Enterprise, and there's even more on the horizon. It gives me confidence and excitement for the future. I believe our best days are still ahead. Thank you all for being here tonight. May God continue to bless each of you, and may He continue to bless the city of Enterprise. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Rich?
Certainly want to ditto the highlights that Mayor Cooper made concerning our champions and honorees tonight. I'm not surprised at all that our public works came to the aid of another neighbor. They certainly are helpful. So kudos to you, Mr. Roberts, and your staff. Thank you, Ms. Barker, for coming and bringing that attention to this space. A lot of people don't do that, so we appreciate you coming so that you could hear the report that was given on your concern. I definitely want to thank Officer Brune, is it, Chief Moore? Sergeant Brune. Personally thank him. If you haven't had a snake to crawl in your area, I guess you should be aware. I was not that aware until yesterday evening when there was one in my mother's house, and I had to call on EPD. And I broke my toe as I took off running from the snake. But it's all good. He is long gone, and the officer was very kind. And
Does he have body cam?
listen. Yes, sir, we did. And he was extremely tickled at me. I really did not care. I was running for my life. But anyway, I'm grateful to be here. So put yourself on whatever you need to do, and put on some steel-toe shoes if you need to, because you will break a toe. That's a fact. But thank you all for coming tonight.
I'd like to second what the mayor said, regarding all these rezones and annexations. It shows that people have confidence in the city of Enterprise and what we're doing moving forward. The business climate that we have here, the quality of life that is provided by the staff, from fire department to engineers to the police and all the administration. So we appreciate that, and people wanting to do business and live here in the city. Following up, I umpired the 10Us this year some, and I knew they had talent, so if they put the best 12 in, they were going to be hard to beat, and they were, so congratulations to that, to our baseball team. Parks and Rec, as far as the disc golf, I don't know much about it. I haven't really played, but it's nice to know when you get ranked somewhere, and I do know Mr. Walls can really sling one of these discs. I've seen it in person, so it's pretty impressive. But thanks to everyone who attended, Mr. Lorenzo for the kind words, and all those others who are here tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you everyone for attending. Thank you for everyone that's watching on TV. And Lorenzo already left, but I'll thank him later for his kind words too. Thank you to our Girl Scout, Mrs. Alexis. I've watched her grow from just a little tyke to now, and the 10U team recognized 3 of the young men. It's great to see these young kids growing up and a positive effect for our city. Thank you to all our city workers, everything they do each and every day. We just bless you. And thank you, Ms. Barker, for coming forth. I wish more people would come and fill these seats in here. Thank you, and have a great night, and God bless everyone.
Yeah, I'll echo what everyone said about the developments and the growth of our city. It's, this is people's money. This is private sector money, people's money that they're investing in Enterprise. And if you ask me, it's a low-risk investment. I mean, I feel like our city's second to none. We're going in a great direction, and I feel like that they're gonna do well with these rezones. Awesome work for Public Works. There's a saying, you go 100% and then +1, and you guys earn that +1 by helping out a neighbor. You do 100%. You did everything you're supposed to do on your day-to-day and taking care of Enterprise, and then you went that +1 to help out a city in need that's near us. So thank you all so much for doing that. And when they showed up without a CDL, you could have said, hey, you got to go get somebody with CDL. We got the truck. You got to go do it. And you guys, again, that +1 and said, we're going to take care of you. So thank you so much for having that servant heart and doing that. And I don't know, before I ever knocked on a door, before I ever said I'm going to run for any kind of office, I said, I got up with then Billy Powell, who was here, and Blake, and then Greg, and talked to them about a disc golf course, because I got tired of driving to Dothan to play disc golf, and I felt like we could have a beautiful course here and just work with them, and that was really my first opportunity really working with government, city government, and seeing something come out of nothing. And that happened because there was a citizen, at that point me, that said, hey, I think this should be here. And I'm very proud of Alexis, the Girl Scout that came here, that had a heart for some dogs that had heat strokes or could have had a heat stroke, and didn't just go to Blake and say, hey, you need to get better water bowls out there. You guys need to do something about potential heat strokes. But she said, I'm going to do something, and I'm going to do what I can to work with city government and make that happen. So I'm just so proud when people, ordinary citizens, say, I want to be the change that I want to see in our city, and I'm happy that she came and did that. So very proud of her. So thank you, guys.
I'm just going to ditto what everybody said, and this meeting is adjourned. You all have a good night.